right. Oh, this is pretty glaring. Hello. I'm happy to talk directly after Thomas, which is very hard. He seems to get the Austrian bonus. I'm trying to use my visual effects instead. So remember, the presentation is full of very fitting but only decorative images in the recursive hope that the upload of this talk will be filtered out as soon as possible. So the right to be forgotten in self-justice. What am I talking about today? The mother of all internet filters. It sounds like hostile to mothers. Censorship machines, this is not where we are yet. Upload filters. We have like a coffee filter image here and talk to people with this, and it sounds very innocent. And if you talk about upload filters under EU copyright reform, you're talking about this. People are doctoring around. It sounds less innocent. So people are doctoring around the copyright regime of the internet. Like, this is mostly happening in the e-commerce part, and there it says like platform managers are only responsible for the content on their platform after they have been made aware of illegal content. This is called notice and takedown. But if the proposals that are discussed right now are made law, there will be the word prevent in there. And the prevent will have a central role in Europe in the future, because this would be made that as soon as images, videos, songs, and so on have been identified as going against copyright, then the re-upload also has to be denied later. So you're coming from notice and takedown, which is after the care. It's a preventative notice and prevent. And so now you see the connection to predictive policing, all these words with PRE in the beginning. So it's about prevent, so it's like preventing before of the fact. So it still sounds very innocent. The dimension, if you think about the dimension, what this means, from the after the fact thing to the preventative thing, you just have to think about what is needed for this. First of all, not only do you have to look at all the upload traffic of all platforms in a permanent way, that former Stasi members are like getting melancholic when listening to this, but also like everyone can just like stop doing their work because in the NSA, because the consequence of this is that everything that anyone puts online, technically you are not responsible for them anymore. Like the burden of proof switches around. So today I can say something except if it is later proven as against the law. In the future, nothing I could say or upload would be visible except if it already passed the technical audit. And Internet Politics did this earlier. So you just are not present in the internet anymore except you pass through the filter. So imagine how it would look like this if you only can say the digital things out of your mouth that can pass the filter. And of course, other content blocking is pre-programmed. So of course, the content providers don't have anything from it. They only have a problem when something is not filtered. So over-filtering will be a thing. And so sadly, with the panel with Mr. Augstein, they didn't really talk about the horrors that is about e-privacy, about GDPR, and then human rights. And it was only about Cambridge Analytica and like face recognition. Yes, but this is in my opinion, even worse from a view on the breadth of the results. And then they point to complaint mechanism which have to be in law then. And like my coworkers who are lawyers, it's about like if you replace in street right, you replace the indubio pro reo to a indubio contra reum with the argument that the district attorney also has to be going for, has to find the innocence of the accused, and also that you can like complain about your innocence later. Okay, all these trials to be like, okay, if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear, and if you have nothing to hide, then you're not filtered out. This doesn't say anything about why such a fundamental change should be accepted, neither from the Constitution nor from the society. Like, there's no reason why this should actually happen.
And once you started arguing the proponents of this proposal into a corner, they come up with the idea that it's all about the constitutional protection of content of works of art that people created. Again, all of these images, I shouldn't even use them. So this is in the German basic law. The right to private property. So again, what is this about? I forgot his name, but this is some sort of new super basic law, basic right. And so, of course, the person that is responsible within the European Parliament, Axel Voss, a CDU politician, he said on Twitter, who questions the basic right to property that much doesn't have the right to be taken seriously. How about some balanced proposed solutions? Question mark, question mark, question mark. So if you're against these filters, that means taking stuff away from people, according to Mr. Voss. And so how did we get there? It's all about this sort of value gap idea. The current enforcement of intellectual property laws on the internet aren't sufficient. And so it allows the platforms to not be liable and still make money off of advertisements for stolen property, which they don't share enough with the copyright holders. So this is the value gap argument. And the last point, not sharing enough of the ad revenue with the content providers. That's nothing new. That always happens in such an oligopolic market. And so this would be a job for equal market institutions. But this problem should now be solved by going through the basic rights and inflicting massive damage on society, all only to achieve this goal that should be done within some completely different sector. But Herr Voss is still demanding, equilibrium solutions. So, yeah. The stuff that he keeps in his head is, is probably a different reality than from ours. So we at Wikimedia Germany, we are against these upload filters. We have banners on German Wikipedia, even in mobile. So thanks to the Wikipedia community that, suffer from our banners but are still accepting it. So really, everyone with a bit of sense is against these upload filters, but still these ideas of filtering just won't die. And so why? And now we could be like, who came up with this? Günther Oettinger, former German politician now in Brussels. Even better, so memes, they are really prone to be massively filtered. So I put as much memes as I could into the slideshow. And of course, Günther Oettinger, he's bad, but the real problem is even worse. And so he basically just started this whole thing, but now other people have taken over. And so even the German federal government opposes some clear statements in the coalition treaty. So down there's Peter Altmaier, who says, oh, it's all about the content. But yeah, so let's talk about the content. In 2212 to 14, it says that platforms have to use upload filters to filter, quote unquote, filter user-uploaded content to search for copyright violations. But we're opposed to that. That's what the coalition treaty says. But the current German government doesn't apply this in their own policies in the European Parliament, where they tolerate this filtering. And so, please, all of you in the audience, talk to Katharina Barley, who was here this morning. Talk to her on Twitter. Here's her handle. And ask her house, her ministry, at what point she'll start, acting according to the coalition treaty. And so reality is slightly different. There seems to be a shady business going on behind the scenes, meaning Germany supports France's ideas of upload filtering, while France will support Germany's idea of a news outlet news outlet law that'll allow publishers on the internet to get money from search engines like Google. And so, yeah, this is a classic quid pro quo. And so, we will have these upload filters just so that we'll have more money for news publishers in Germany, and also an old idea. So if you want to know more about this, we have a blog post on it, which is quite long. You could even retweet the tweets that we have in there. You can also, this is the URL for our statement. Thank you, but that's not enough. Thank you for the proposal to exclude the Wikipedia project from this filter proposal. So, yeah, it's not enough. You can also tweet at Axel Voss, MDEP. And, of course, you can create your own memes, some sort of balanced Axel Voss, and tweet those to whatthevoss.eu. It's a Tumblr site where you can post Voss memes. So, at least as long as it's still legal in Europe. But so, really, this problem is much larger than these grand politicians like Voss and Oettinger. Okay, one more. I had to put this in. The Nourishing Crown was founded by courts all over the world a few years back when, in certain situations, without specific legislation, platforms had to remove certain content. And so the initiative that we have now in the EU legislation, that's also available in the US, and this is all about copyright laws. And this really might be a blueprint, a test case for further fights in the next few years. And so now we'll go to different topics. So it's not anymore about upload filtering. There's different measures as well, technical measures to enforce copyright laws. This is Maria Gabriel, who succeeded Günther Oettinger's chair of data commissioner. And so she threw a lot of stuff together, and now we're talking about intellectual property violations, hate speech, misinformation, fake news, sexual and violent content, and propaganda for terrorist organizations. And all of this should be filtered from the internet, according to some proposals, everywhere on the internet. And it should be done using AI. So, you know, AI is being thrown around a lot these days. But I always have to remember the remarks a professor once gave at the German Institute for Artificial Intelligence, and I was a research assistant there once. And he said that he'd never let AI systems have effects on human behavior when the people who are in charge of these AI systems don't even know what the AI systems are going to do. So what this AI expert, warned against, in the political realm, this is being tried right now because there's this belief in technological solutionism. And so Google and Facebook, Google and YouTube, they gave a transparency report on automated video deletion. So here we have the stats, and then the Süddeutsche Zeitung, Southern newspaper, said that this allowed, content that violated certain laws was easy to remove. And so it was good for the users, they took down pornography, child pornography and other stuff. And in the end of 2018, Google should also use this for their search engine. And then, they'll hire tens of thousands of employees to keep their platform safe. And so, who wants to contradict that? If you look at all this cleaning work that's done, there's been a documentary recently called The Cleaners. Sadly, not any relation to the German comedy series Tatortreiniger, but the news article continues. Here's the Facebook logo and the eye. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said that AI would soon be possible to identify hate speech and also to prove election manipulation. And in 5 to 10 years, the systems would be in place and working properly. And so it seems to me that politicians already arrived in this future. They think that, AI will be possible to achieve all this, and is trying to propose deadlines for deletion of inappropriate or unlawful content as little as 1 hour. And so the news article concludes and says that hopefully in 5 to 10 years, machines will be smarter than they are today. Again, my final statement, huge parts of in the political and the journalistic field are looking in the wrong direction. And so the real question is, if you don't look in the wrong direction, do we want AI to do what it can do? And so with all these filtering policies, we have the sentence, community has a sense of context and filters don't. And so obviously the proponents of AI technology say that, in a few years they'll be able to see context, but this isn't just about technical possibilities, but this is about principles. And from the wiki universe point of view, mechanisms that govern huge shares of our lives, that affect huge shares of society. Obviously, the groups and communities within the Wikimedia project here in Italy, for example, I know that, community filtering work done by real humans, members of the community, it's not perfect all the time, but still we have to raise the question, what sort of mechanisms should be done by actual human beings? And politicians are trying to avoid that question right now, and are trying to push that everything that's being done will be done by machines. But seriously, can these questions about that affect society be done by machines? Or is there not a difference between a real human being making a decision or some calculation done by some automaton? And is pluralism possible using AI systems? And how do we prevent pluralism from going downhill because of the use of AI systems that were meant to prevent the erosion of pluralism? And so here we have a panel in Berlin. Don't we need like this sort of Copernican turn in AI? And shouldn't we wait for a little while longer until we start using all of this? And so, really, please raise these questions in ethics committees, in politics with politicians, and do it for as long as you have to until you get some answers. Thank you very much.
So, right, we have a few minutes left for questions. Does anyone have a direct question? All right, I'm coming over. Hey, thank you very much for this very exciting talk. I am 75% agree with your positions. With 25%, I have a bit of difficulty because I don't know how to place it. Like I have my feelings a bit like these questions that you were talking about. Exactly like the GDPR
enforcement law.
And like network enforcement law are not discussed about. And I think that goes too far because I see the motivation the rightful motivation that there has to be something like a regulation of the public space to which the internet also belongs. How do you square that? All right, so first of all, don't say filter technology or automated systems are always bad, so that's not what I meant. Also, the Wikipedia community uses filters and automatic helpers. For example, in the ORIS project, where there's a scoring, whether something is vandalism, as like a vandalistic change or not. So these systems are helpful as a help to a human decider. So that is about like a foundational question. So there's either a human decider at the end or not. And regarding regulation, it's also about the all or nothing approach. Right now, there's something like it's either copyright is also you're either responsible for copyright or not, and if you are, then you have to go to this one part and do over blocking. So if you want to be more nuanced, then responsibility should be divided more in a more nuanced way, and I don't know how to do that. But of course, not everything is black and white. All right, back here. Thank you very much also from me for this nice talk. I am 100% of your opinion. But I also don't want to go into the direction regarding political strategy, like if Germany and France work together, that these demands about upload filters will not disappear completely. So we should think about what could be a compromise from our side. You could argue that companies like Facebook actually have filters right now, and they are allowed to have them. They just can't be forced to have them. So would that be a chance to integrate upload filtering that are not that are combined with like the right to say no from users? Would that be a step forward even regarding what Facebook is doing right now? Okay, so it's about the one thing that's like, do the companies have to do filtering, and the other thing is like, do people have to be filter? And so like a state filter or real-time filter with a real-time scoring, that would still mean that, and like the cleaning that happens afterwards, after the upload, and that's not going well. That would still be left out towards this new preventative filters, and so this is where the damage is happening as soon as these filters have appear. So, and that can be a illegal content or a fake news. But right now, as a society, we were of the opinion that this is enough to clean this up afterwards, and see no reason why this should be happening before. On the other hand, the fact that the filters are being used is the one thing, but so the compromise lines, they exist. Like, it's not the only possibility to help right holders. Like, for example, an API helper but only for market dominant players, and here we are in cartel right. Like, right holders have to be able to access an API and just check out the copyright materials directly, but after they were uploaded. So there are alternative ideas, but they are not being discussed about. But they really want to go toward these filters. There's not only France, but also like all kinds of cultural politicians, because they really think that needs to be done, and we say no, that can't be the way.